Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Effective Resume Thursday. It is July 20th, 2023. We're very glad you're with us. For those in the DFW area, it's I think I just looked, it's 95 degrees here in I'm actually in San Francisco right now, so through the weekend, and currently 61 degrees here. So big change in weather depending on where you're at. Thank you very much for joining us, everybody. All right. See here. Here we go. This event is currently being recorded. It's currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Please note that any comments you put in the Zoom chat window will not appear in the recording. For those people on Zoom, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please just put them in the chat window. For those watching on Facebook, thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions, just put them in the comment field. We are monitoring both feeds. We'll be sure to get those questions answered for you. Also, for those people on Zoom, this is a great opportunity to connect with other people who are out there right now. So if you want, put in your name, comma, your phone number, comma, email address, comma, your LinkedIn address, comma, position you're looking for, what kind of job title you're looking for, and then list a couple of companies that you'd be interested in, because you never know who's on the call, who will be able to help somebody else who's out here today. So you're welcome to put that in the Zoom chat window. If we will have time at the end of this presentation to look at one or two resumes today live. If you'd like to submit your resume, you're welcome to do so. Open up the file box. You can attach your resume, send it to me. Instead of sending it to everybody, just pick my name out and send it to me. Please remember, though, I'd say delete your header information because your information will be on Facebook and YouTube, and it'll be out there for ever and ever and ever. All right, well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Back in 2008, I started a website called careerdfw.org, a website to help those who are unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. 2012, I launched the second website, careerusa.org, to help those around the United States. I have written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. It is available on Amazon, or if you see me in person, I usually have copies with me, although I do not have any copies out here in San Francisco with me this weekend. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. We've got a great program coming up this Friday. I'll tell you about that at the end of this session. And since 2017, I've been a member of the Practice Interview Team. The Practice Interview Team's been around since 2007. I've been around since the mid 2010, 11, 12, somewhere in there. Remember, your resume and your LinkedIn profile are not going to get you your next job. What they will get you is a phone call. How well you practice your interviewing skills, that's what's going to get you your next job. So for more information about the free services from the Dallas PIT Group, just go to dallaspitgroup.com for more information. Well, we're going to talk about two different things today on our resume. Let's see here. I need to change my screen. Give me just a second here. All right, so here's what we're going to talk about today. First part of our presentation, we're going to talk all about the ATS system, about a one-page bio, about a master resume, about the key components of a resume. And then if anybody wants to submit the resume, we'll do that during the second part. I always love this cartoon. You know, the whole point of your resume is to be noticed. You want to be the one that gets remembered. How are you going to do that? And that's what we're going to talk about today a little bit. So I want to start some advice from an expert. This is from Sarah Jacobs, who's a manager. He's in charge of business development at Thomas Edwards Group. That's a local recruiting firm in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Her first point is, do not need to include your home address on your resume. And also do not include any pictures, text only, okay? You want to create a professionally named Gmail account for your job search. If you have an AOL account, that tells people you're OLD. A Yahoo group tells people you're in your 50s and 60s. Everybody's using Gmail. So try to come up with a Gmail address. And you don't want a Gmail address that says Kathy loves kitty cats at gmail.com. It wants to be Kathy Smith PMP at gmail.com. You can come up with something. Sometimes you add a little TX, if you live in Texas or in Oklahoma, you can add OK or something, add something to it to make it easy. Be sure your voicemail box has a professional outgoing message and that you clean it out often. Listen, a number of times I've heard from recruiters, they pick up the phone, they call you. That's what they want to do first. They want to pick up the phone and call you. They don't want to email you. They don't want to send you an email through LinkedIn. They want to pick up the phone and call you. So when they do that, and then they get a goofy email or a goofy voicemail, or the voicemail box is full, they just move on to the very next candidate. Always include the entire tenure at one company on the same line with the name of the company. I'll show you that out in just a little bit here. And then list out progressive positions within each title underneath. And we'll show you how to do that in our layout that we've got. You want to be sure to use a chronological resume instead of a functional resume. Hiring managers want to see your accomplishments under each position. They want to know where you were successful at and what you did at each place. You want to make sure that you focus on hard skills, industry expertise, and soft skills. Tell us what you did, give us results. You want to list all ERPs, BIs, and other software systems that you use on your resume. Elaborate on your Excel skills if it's beyond basic. Many recruiters and the ATS system search for specific system experience. But just remember, you want to, when you look at a resume, we're going to look at a job description and a resume. When you look at a job description, be sure to highlight those keywords and make sure those are in your resume. This is all about matching there. Also, do not use the I, me, or my statements, okay? It's just real important, and I'll show you a little bit about that. Also, include a brief summary instead of an objective. So you don't put an objective looking for a job where I can use my Excel skills and bring it through that kind of message. That's not going to work very well. But if you tell us what you've done that relates to what's in the job description, that will make all the difference. All right, so let's talk about a resume versus a one-page bio. Your resume, when you send a resume out, it screams, help me, help me, help me, I'm looking for a job. You want to be very careful with that, because a lot of times people will see, oh, I can't help you, so I'm going to move on. I'm not going to look at anybody. All right, so I think it's really important to try to use a one-page bio is extremely effective, because you can use it in lots of different areas. You can use it to network with. You can use it if you're giving a speech, and that's what you want to be used as an introduction. It's a soft sell piece, and it tells people what it is you've done. A resume focuses on your work history in detail and credentials. A bio focuses on those major accomplishments, what you've done, where is your expertise at. A resume is primarily a job search tool. A bio can be used in many different things. Remember, you don't want to be sending out your resume randomly to possible employers. You want to send out your bio, because a resume may not have what they're looking for, but a bio may be a wide enough description for them to go, oh, I want to find out more and reach out more. So here's a couple examples of bios. You do put your picture on a bio. You do not put your picture on a resume. You list a few accomplishments, what you've done underneath your bio. You have a little bit of a background, a little one paragraph of who you are. Professional biography underneath that. You list your education. Over on the right-hand side in this particular bio, their contact information, and then their successes and achievements that are listed there. High level, very, very easy. You can also do it vertically versus horizontally. Doesn't make any difference. This is the second one. The big difference between these two documents is over on the very right-hand side. You'll see on here that they have target functions listed, which is not, it's good to have, because this tells people what kind of job title you're looking for. But you've got to be very careful when you list target companies. If you're sending this to friends and family, not a problem. If you're sending this to your professional contacts, You may want to be a little careful about this, because by listing companies, and let's say this got into the hands of somebody who works at Coca-Cola, and they go and say, well, you only listed Pepsi, you don't work at Coke, or you worked at, Domino, you want a job at Domino's, you're applying for a job at corporate Domino's, but you won't even list at Pizza Hut on here. So be very, very careful when you do that. Also, if you do happen to send this to a certain company, I would always put that particular company at the very top of your target company. Let them know that it's a blendable way to let them know that you're at the top of what they're looking for. There's a great book about one-page bios. I promote this all the time. I think it's one of the 3 books you got to have when you're in job search. It's called Be Sharp. You can get it on Amazon for like $17 or something like that. Be sure to get the second edition. The second edition has all those little white lines on both sides of the front cover. In this book, first half of the book talks about how you introduce yourself, which is your 30-second introduction. Second half of the book has about 30 different bios and goes into a lot of really great detail. They really expanded on their second edition of what to do. This is written by Minna Brown and Paula Asanoff. Minna Brown, you see there's her bio. Now her bio is very professionally done. She's she's an executive coach and author, public speaker. She's an expert coach trainer. So this is more of a marketing piece for her that she does, that she'll send out to clients. But you can see that, she's talking about who she's done. She includes some recommendations over on the left-hand side. So there's lots of different formats. You can Google one-page bios on Google, and you'll come up with a lot of different formats. But I think this is a really good book, because it takes you through what you need to do. All right, let's talk about a master resume for a second. In your job search, a master resume is a document that can be 10, 15, 20 pages long. It should include everything you've ever done since high school, any college jobs you've ever had, and you put all the details, names, contact information, address, phone numbers, list your supervisors, and then underneath each one of those jobs, list 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different bullet points of your accomplishments. The longer you've been there, you should have more accomplishments. You probably should have one accomplishment for every 6 months that you've been at a job. You want to include all the areas of your expertise, certifications, and software skills. Then, when you see a job description, what you want to do is save your master resume, whatever your naming convention to save documents has, and then take that resume and delete everything that's not in the job description. If you've got a job description, you're trying to match and become that good fit. Well, if you're doing something like this and you only match a couple of things, you're not going to get that phone call, because people can't see that match. So put together a master resume, and that way you'll never have to think about what you've done. I mean, I started working in 1980, it's the first job I had. And back then, you had to type up your resume, you took the someplace to have printed, it was one page, and then you've got variations every couple of years you change. Well, I have a whole file of those, but I've now created one master resume that makes it easy that if I'm applying for a job, I can just send things out immediately. All right, so let's talk about the characteristics of a good resume. We're going to primarily talk about a good resume, an ATS system, or an applicant tracking system. Okay, the whole goal here is for the ATS system and job screeners to determine that you're a good match for the job. How are you going to do that? Number one, you're going to use proper formatting. Number two, you're going to talk about the overall length. Now, your resume, if you're a fairly new graduate, 1 page. If you've been in the job force for 10 years, 15 years, you can go 2 pages. You could go 3 pages, maybe. I wouldn't recommend it. You probably can get it down to 2 pages, because most job descriptions are 1 page, and you should be able to highlight what you've done to match in 2 pages. Now, if you're applying for a job at the US government, or if you're applying for a job at an educational facility, a college or university as a professor or something like that, They want to see everything. They want to see your master resume. So if you already have your master resume ready, you're ready to go. So for the third thing we want to do is people always talk about how many years should my resume go? Go back 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, back from the very first job. So there's 3 different options, and I'd love to, if you will, in the chat windows, put down what you think is the correct answer here. When you do the number of years, so number 1, should you show your expertise, show all of your expertise? That's option A. Option B, show only the most recent 10 to 15 years of your job experience. That would be option B. And then C, show the details about the most recent 10 to 15 years, plus have a section called prior relevant experience. So in the chat window, if you will, go ahead and list what you think is the correct answer, A, B, or C. For those on Facebook, you're welcome to do the exact same thing. I'll give you just a second here. I see a couple B's, I see a C. All right, well, I think the answer, personally, I like C, because having a section called prior relevant experience is important. If you only show your most recent 10 to 15 years, if you go in for an interview, you cannot talk about things that aren't on your resume. I've had recruiters tell me that they bring somebody in, they're talking with them, and the people go and tell a story, and they say, well, where'd you do that at? Oh, at this company. I don't see that job. I don't see that company listed on your resume. Oh, well, that was 20 years ago. All right. So by having and we'll show you our sample resume that talks about prior relevant experience, and I'll show you how to do that. All right, fonts for your resume. Number 1, these are the fonts that I like: Arial, Calibri, Tacoma, Helvetica. You want a plain, easy to read font, okay? The font should be between 10 and 12 point. Times Roman, Garamond, Cambria. I don't like those fonts because I don't like the little serifs. It's harder to read. It looks fine in a manuscript. It looks fine in a book maybe, but you'll notice that most books, most documents are written in Arial, Calibri, Tacoma, or Helvetica because it's easy to read, it's cleaner, it's easier on the eyes to read. You don't want any fancy fonts, you don't want any wingdings, any little homes, any little check marks. You want to make it very simple. Your resume should have 1-inch margins, right, left, top, and bottom. People, when they're interested in your resume, will print it out, and they want to have a place to write down notes. And if you have your resume text corner to corner, top to bottom, edge to edge, it doesn't leave any white space. White space is good. It's easier on the eyes to read. You can use bullets, and the bullets you see here are the only bullets that I recommend. No check mark, no little stars, no asterisks, no arrows. This simple bullet is what you want to use. You can use bolding, you can use little underlining if you like. I'm not a real fan of italics because it does the same thing as a serif font sometimes. A little more difficult to read, but I do like the first couple that are out there. You do not want to use any text boxes, no headers, no footers, no templates, no tables, because remember, there are over 300 different ATS systems out there, over 300 applicant tracking systems out there. Each system works a little bit different. Each system recognizes things a little bit differently, okay? And the problem with these things is that they get misinterpreted, all right? So you want your resume that you're applying to when you're using for an ATS system to be as plain and simple as possible. Okay, so how do you fill a gap? If you've had a gap on your resume for a couple years maybe and you haven't been working, there are a couple different ways to do it. Number 1, you can put down community leadership, things you're doing in the community. You can talk about a volunteering experience that you've done. You can talk about consulting. If you've picked up some consulting gigs, even if you're not getting paid to do it, this is a great opportunity to show your expertise. You also can say, I met with somebody a couple of months ago, and I asked them, well, I see you haven't worked since 2021. What have you been doing? Oh, I went back and got my MBA. Okay, that's a lot, that makes it very, very simple. Or I went back and I got these 4 certificates to, make me more qualified in what I do in my job. So just know that you can use any one of those 3. You can also then add a few bullet points to talk about what you've done, such as for consulting work, even if it's pro bono, if you have any volunteer work. You volunteer for somebody and hopefully you're doing it with your expertise. You can just say what you've done. If you've received any certificates that you've received, do that in the same way. All right, let's talk about the key components of a resume. On a resume, you have to have a header, you have to have a summary. Key accomplishments is an optional area. This primarily is used by salespeople, and I'll point this out in just a second. You then want to show your professional experience, then your previous relevant experience, and that's an optional field if you've only been working for 10 to 15 years, but if it's over that, I would suggest you put that section. You then want to list your education. Education goes at the bottom, and below education goes software skills. People are used to seeing it this way. Okay, now, if you had been working and just went back to get your MBA and now you're back in the job market again, you could pull your education to the very top to just say, I just graduated, I just got my MBA, just graduated, by putting that at the top. But normally you want that at the very, very bottom. Okay, so let's talk about the header. The header needs to have your name, phone number, city, state, and zip. And the reason city, state, and zip is important is that a lot of recruiters will put in their search that they're looking for somebody who lives within 25 miles of a certain zip code, because they figure most people don't want to drive more than a half hour to get there. Okay, so city, state, and zip, you do not put in your personal street address. That is not necessary. If you're interested in moving to a different city, you may want to get a mailbox or something in that other city and use that address to show that you're at someplace else. Your email address over on the right-hand side, along with your LinkedIn address, both very important. Do not have them as hyperlinks. The reason being is that when you add it, sometimes when you type it, you'll see it turns blue and it gets underlined. If you right-click on it and then go down, one of the things you can do is remove hyperlinks. The reason you want to remove the hyperlink, for some ATS systems won't recognize the underline. And if you have something like, if you have a Gmail account, so the G falls down, it contacts with the line, it may not be read. Is that a G or is that a Q? Okay, so by removing the hyperlinks, an ATS system will be able to read that email address correctly. All right, your summary and profile. Your summary is not an objective statement. Your summary will include areas of expertise. It should be modified for every application you apply for. Every time, this is a paragraph that you want to change. You want to put the job title you're applying to, if you've done that. Now, if you've never been a business analyst, I wouldn't list that. I would put maybe analyst with excellent Excel skills or something like that. And then you're going to list a paragraph here, 3 lines maximum of what it is that you're done. Your summary statement should only be 3 lines. I always talk about on your LinkedIn profile, every place, no more than 3 lines. Anything more than that is too much and people won't read it because people scan things. Under areas of expertise, you're going to list up to 9 areas of expertise. Not 12, not 15, not 18. I saw a resume the other day that had 21 different areas of expertise. So they're a master of none. They're a jack of all trades and a master of none. So, show me the 9 areas of expertise that you're most qualified for the job you're applying to. And if you come interview with me and you have something like this, I'm going to ask, what are your top 3 areas of expertise? They better be the top 3 on the top or the top 3 on the left. Okay. If you go and tell me that user interface design and customer facing roles are your top skills, I'm going to go, well, why isn't it on the very top there? Why isn't it here? But these are things that you're going to pull from your job description to make sure that those areas of expertise are in here, because that's job matching. That's making the resume match the job description. All right, this is an optional section under key accomplishments, mostly used by salespeople. But for me, my issue is when I see something like this, is that I want to know where you did this at. Okay, so you had $1.5 million worth of sales. That's great if you're working for a, $20 million a year business. But if you're working for a multi-billion-dollar business, $1.5 million may not be a whole lot. So if you're listing key accomplishments like this, you've got to also put them underneath the job that you did them at so that I can figure out what you've done. All right, let's talk about your professional experience. Number 1, it's got to be chronological. We've talked about this already. Functional resumes just don't fly. People want to see in order what it is you've done. You want to be sure to use parallel verbs. Very important here. So parallel verbs, all the ones that are underlined in red, those are current verbs, okay? Those are things you analyze, ensure, serve. Those are things you've done now. The ones in blue are in past tense. So if you're no longer working at that job, those should all be in past tense. Remember, a recruiter is looking for anything to throw your resume out. A misspelling, a missed verb that's in the wrong tense. Anything they can do to go up, I'm going to the next candidate. That's what they're going to do. So just be very, very careful. Now, you do see there is that one past tense in that current job achieved because that was a project they worked on a year or 2 ago. So it's not the most current thing that's out there. I think you should always include a one-line description of the company. That helps people understand what it is the company does. Even if it's a major corporation like Salesforce or, IBM, still put in there, Fortune 500, a top, Fortune 10 company. Tell people what it is the company does. There are, several million companies that are out there and we don't know them all. I've been doing this since 2007. And believe me, one of my Friday group, when they mention a company, it's like, I've never heard of that. What does that company do? You hear these things and companies change names all the time. And you want to limit the number of bullet points in a job. I think for a current job, 5 bullet points is enough. The next job, maybe 4, the next job after that, for 3. But you want to make sure those bullet points are relevant to the job description. We've already talked about limited bullet points, 5 to 6 bullet points. Bullet points should focus on results. I see so many resumes and the bullet points read like a job description. They tell me what you were supposed to do, but they don't tell me what you achieved. I have a problem as an employer. I need to hire somebody who can increase sales, handle things manufacturing, get things shipped correctly, whatever it is. So if you focus on results and tell me what it is you've done, that makes me want to pick up the phone and call you because I need somebody who can do what I need done, okay? Bullet points should not sound like just a job description. I've already sort of mentioned that. One of the things we tend to do, and I tell this to everybody, is to play the so what game. All right, this is really simple. Take your bullet point and say, so what? So in this case, guided a next phase of brand evolution for a multimedia artist and managed film production and publishing. So what? That doesn't really tell me what you did, what was their success. So when we asked the person, they said, what increased the business opportunities? And my boss got 10 new clients or 10 new commissions. Okay, well, there's a result. So we rewrote the bullet points to say increased business opportunities, 10 new commissions for my client based on developing a full social media and PR strategy. That tells me what you can do. It gives me a result. You know, we had a speaker on a couple months ago about resumes, and he talked about your resume, what you did, and then the word resulting in, and then what the result is. That makes all the difference. So you're always telling people what the result is. What do you do if you've had multiple roles at one company? We talked about this earlier, you know, how to handle what it is you've done. So what you want to do is you want to list the company name once with the full range of dates. So you see at the very, very top, you see, you know, company B, city, state, 2010 to 2014. You have the one-line description of the company. And then you have the, all right, so then that's over, right, justified to cover all the dates. Then the dates for each row can be put in parentheses next to the job title. Now, if you had those dates of the job titles right justified, I get confused because it makes you look like a job hopper. Oh, 2010 to 12, 12 to 14. I wouldn't necessarily connect that was at the same company. So that's why you want to make sure you keep those next to the job title, keep the company, city, state, and zip over on the, just for the whole company, you list that over on the very right hand side. All right, what happens if a company has changed names? Lots of, I know I've had several of my past companies have changed names. I've been there while they changed names. I've changed names since I've worked there. So what do? So you have two options. One, give the current name of the company followed by the old name, XYZ Corporation or XYZ Company Incorporated, formerly ABC Company. Or you can give the old name of the company followed by the date of M&A. ABC Company acquired by XYZ Incorporated in 2008. There was a gentleman on a couple years ago. He worked for Campbell Soup out. I forget where it is. Somewhere it's around the DFW area. They have a plant there, and then it got bought by another company. And then it got bought by a third name, or they changed the name. Well, everybody knows what Campbell Soup is, but I'd never heard of this other company. So I told him, I said, put down Campbell Soup, acquired by, you know, whatever the name of the new company is, or, you know, whatever, you know, currently list the new name, because everybody knows what Campbell Soup is, and I go, oh, you work at Campbell Soup. It's much more recognizable. All right, your education and software skill. You want to list your degrees. So under education, your degree, your major, city, school, and state. You do not need to list the date of that. That's not important. You then want to list all your software skills. And the software skills have got to come from the job description. So if you're using a program and they call for something, you know, Visual Studio, and you don't have Visual Studio experience, you know, you could put down Canva in parentheses similar to Visual Studios. That way the Visual Studios gets recognized in the ATS system, but if you've used another program that's similar to what they're using. Now, if you don't have a degree, here's something you want to do. You want to write something like this: school, city, state, dash, area of concentration, whatever that is, and then put in X number of hours, or you can put in, you know, due to graduate in May of 2023 or 2024. Okay, so, you know, don't lie. Remember, there was the University of Notre Dame hired a football coach, and 2 weeks later they fired him because they found out that he had fudged his resume, the dates for a job that he had, or didn't have a degree in something. So you want to be sure to tell the truth in what you're doing on a resume. All right, so let's talk about aligning a resume to a job description. If you look over here on the left-hand side, that is a job description, and we've taken a yellow marker, we've highlighted what we think are the important terms. We've then gone to our resume, and we've shrunk our resume down to one page, just to make it easy to see, and we've highlighted things to make sure we pulled those words over. So number one, they're looking for a business analyst. So we've listed business analyst twice. Well, actually 4 different times, because it's down there under each job we've done. So it's actually on there 4 times. We're asking for business requirements. Okay, so we make sure that we show that in our summary statement. Improved processes, one of the areas of expertise. Cross-functional, agile, Scrum, Visual Studio. We're making sure that we mention all those things to make it easy for people to see the relationship. Multiple sources, user manuals. I'm using the words from their job description to make sure those same words are in the resume. So let's just remember a few things here. Number one, remember, keywords are very important. You're trying to match your resume to the job description, because the ATS system, that's what's going to happen. All it does is it's trying to find keyword matches. It's a lot like LinkedIn. Somebody's searching for something on LinkedIn, they're going to put a job title, a couple skills, and hit go and see what happens, how big the funnel is, and then they'll shrink it down to get to, 100 or so applications that they can look through. Resumes are scanned. They are not read, okay? Recruiter will spend 7 to 10 seconds looking at your resume. Okay, they're just going, yeah, I think so. They go and they put it in the maybe pile or the no pile. And then when they're done going through, they got 10 or 15 maybes, they'll go through the maybe pile and look through it again and go, okay, I'm going to call these 6 or 10 people. And that's what they do, okay? Now, when they take that maybe pile, that will get read a little bit longer. Recruiters don't read resumes. A hiring manager, though, will read it. When the hiring manager gets, here's 5 people I recommend you talk to, the hiring manager will probably read your resume in detail, but that's the first time it'll get read in detail. You never know, as I mentioned in the beginning, your resume will not get you a job. Your LinkedIn profile will not get you a job. It will get you a phone call. So you've got to make sure that you practice your interviewing skills to be ready for that next job. And then you never know why they called you. So ask, when you get that phone call, hey, thanks for calling. What was it on my resume, or what was it about my LinkedIn profile that made you reach out? Because if you do that, you're then able to find out what's important to them, and then you know what to talk about. That's what's going to be very, very important. All right, so nobody submitted a resume. If anybody has any questions, you're welcome to unmute your mic. You can ask anything you want right now. If not, we will stop what we're doing here. So any questions, comments?
I have a question. This is Ann.
Hi, Ann.
Hi. Yeah, I have a master's in library science. MLS is the abbreviation we use. Typically, if I was going to apply for a library job, I would put my name at the top and spots, comma, MLS. Now, MLS is not outside of the library field, isn't typically understood. If I'm applying for a job that is outside of the field, should I leave that on there just to indicate my advanced degree and let them see in my resume what it is?
I would. I think, yes, I think I would, but I would make sure that under education, that when you have MLS, that you put in parentheses what it is, spell it out all the way. Or you can, or if you want, you're welcome to, you could spell out the whole things after, the whole term after your name. That would be okay to do too.
Okay. All right.
Whenever you use an abbreviation, you said MLS.
Correct. Master's in Library Science.
Okay. Well, to me, MLS is a listing when you're selling a house.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I think you've got to be whenever you use any abbreviation on your resume, first time you want to spell it out, and then in parentheses, put down what the abbreviation, what it is, MLS or whatever, close parentheses. And then every subsequent time you can use that abbreviation in your resume. But always be sure to spell it out the first time, because you never know who's going to be reading your resume. And in fact, in many, many cases, who's that initial person who's reading the resume, what happens is first person who reads it is somebody who maybe just got out of college. They've been given a job description going, hey, find me people who do this. They don't even really know what it is, so they can't even qualify very well. So, you know, you at the beginning, lowest common denominator.
Mhm.
Let's see, who had another question?
Hi, I have a question.
Yes, Paris.
Hi, thank you for this. I have in the past couple years, I have been doing contract work.
Okay.
And I've had several contracts with different staffing agencies. And I want to be able to frame my resume to where it doesn't look like I'm a job hopper. How can
Right.
I frame that to where it's not looking like I'm a job hopper? These contracts were for a certain amount of time. So and they were completed. So that's what I have on my resume.
So what you're going to do in that case is you're going to create one job, and the job title is going to say independent contractor, and the dates from 4 years ago, whatever it is, 2020 to 2023, and then underneath it you're going to list that you were that you worked for several different contracting. You had several different contracts. You and list some of the things you did. Give us some bullet points of what successes you had, what you had to do. Tell us what kind of contractor you were. You can list independent contractor, parentheses, project management, whatever, or accounting, whatever it is. And then list some bullet points, and you throw that all together. You worked for four different firms, and you worked for, 7 different companies. You don't have to mention those companies because, quite frankly, in some cases, you probably aren't supposed to share that information. But at least that's how you show it, by just grouping it all in one company.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Somebody else have a question?
Yeah, I'd just like to know, how do I submit a resume for review?
Oh, okay. What you want to do is in the chat window, open up the chat box. And at the bottom of the chat box, there's a little piece of paper, looks like a little piece of paper next to the smiley face. If you click on that, you should be able to it'll then open up, and you can go find your resume, attach it, and then just send it to me. So under the instead of sending it to everyone, you can just send it to me, and I'll be glad to look at it. And we'll pop it up here on the screen.
Okay, I think I'm doing that to Jeff.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna do the same as well.
Okay, very good. If we don't have time to look at both of these, what I'll do is while I'm here out in San Francisco, I will take a look at it, and I'll give you some contact. I'll go back and do it for everybody here. So let me click the download. Just a second here. And see here, click to open it up. All right, and let me share this, and we will take a look at this person's resume. Thank you for submitting it. Let's see here. Share the screen. All right. All right, can everybody, I think everybody should be, everybody should be able to see that now. So, okay, things at the top, city, state, zip, great, phone number, perfect, LinkedIn address, Gmail account. What is this you have right here in the middle, www.com? What is that? Is that like your personal email address or your personal
That's
website?
my personal website.
Okay, all right, that's good, that's fine. Continuous improvement operation management leader. Here's my comment about your title. Is that what you would see in a job description? Okay, is that a title for a job description? I would put down the title from a job description so that it's the same thing. Okay, I just think it's a better match because our whole object is here to how do you match what's in the job description? So if possible, just list, management leader. I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen that. I'd probably see continuous improvement manager, operation manager. I don't know how many managements I see in a job description title. I do like the fact Lean Six Sigma Master Black Belt. Anybody in that area, I think that's very important. I think that's a great, we don't recommend that, but I think that's a great place to put it. Bring extensive experience achieving training lead teams. Like your statement here, if there's any way for you to, let's see. If there's any way for you to get this down into 3 lines, I think that would be better. Okay, if there's maybe a couple words you can take out to get it to 3, that would be wonderful. Making sure you're at no table. Okay. Here you put in some keywords. I sort of prefer not a table, but give me a term 3 like we showed it in our sample. This sort of runs into each other a little bit. So I like it if you just, you put in lean transformation, don't put in this pipe symbol. Those who don't know about this little pipe symbol here, that is the shift key above the enter key. So shift, if you look right above the enter key on your keyboard, that's the straight up and down one. That's great to use. To me, it just, when it's in like this, it's just extra texting. On a LinkedIn profile, it's perfect. Not necessarily on a resume. Professional experience, company, Chicago, December 2022 to present. Okay. Operation. Any bullet points you can add for this job? Anything, any successes?
I could add some, yeah.
Yeah, because, all right, or your consultant. I mean, what you're doing, what are you working on? How are you helping them out a little bit? Let's see, Tyson Food, just great description. I mean, we all know what Tyson's Food is. This is a great one-line description that reminds somebody what it is they've done. World's largest. You work for the world's largest. That's great. Continuing business manager led in. Okay, so what I'm going to say here by looking at this is, so what? What did you fix? What did you improve? Did you improve things from 92 to 98%? Did you save the company $1 million a year by fixing poor ceiling equipment? I mean, whatever. Nobody's going to check these details. Okay, they're not going to call the company and go, "Hey, Tyson, I got this guy here, and he says he saved you $1 million in this." Do you really do that? Not going to happen. So after every bullet point, led campaign development decreasing. Yeah. Once again, I'm going to say, so what? Okay. Give me something, as the one speaker I mentioned a couple months ago, what you did and the words resulting in, and then give them an answer. Give us a result. Give us that meat, because that result is what's going to make the big difference. That result is what's going to, he did this here, maybe he can do this for us too. All right, next one down here, Mayfield Heights, Ohio. Perfect, specializing after bang. Great. Here we go. Cut inventory by $2 million. Perfect. Okay. This tells, then I go, oh, I need somebody who can do the same thing. Tell me how you did that. That's a question that's going to come up in an interview. But tell me how you did that. What were the steps that you took to do that? Okay, so that's great. That's why you want the result on here. If you don't have a dollar, you have a percentage. If you don't have percentage, you have a number. I was talking with somebody who is a receptionist. I don't have any data. I'd say, well, how many phone calls do you get a week? Oh, I get about 400 phone calls a week. And how many people do you distribute it to? Oh, there's 24 people who work here. Okay, now you've got something to tell me. That I enthusiastically answer the phone 400 times a week, distributing those phone calls to 24 different associates. Tells me what you did, the frame of what you've done. So that's great. So you got good stuff there. Warren, Ohio, here we go. So you're giving me all those answers down here. You just didn't do it at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, so go through and do that if you can. Big help. All right. Because I guess different Word documents, everybody's associated a little bit different here. You know, you put a page break in here. And
Oh, it's got my name on there.
right. You know, I don't know if it's necessary to do this anymore on the second or third page because most people are not going to print out a resume. Back in the old day, we all made sure we did it because in case a resume got separated. But nowadays, I think you don't have to do that because people are just reading it online. They're just scanning through it. So make sure your resume just sort of flows right through without putting any page breaks in there. All right, Harwick, let's see. And in this case, you may want to wait and have this start on have this start on a new page, and then that way Harwick's all delete.
I'm not sure what's going on there. That's
Yeah.
different.
I mean, you may want to do this. So that way the second, your next job, instead of having 2 lines here, just flows the next line. In this case, maybe increase your margins 1/10 of an inch, sort of fill up the whole page and not have to have a job carry over 2 different pages.
Okay.
Goodyear. I mean, you've got great results here, and this is what's, this is what makes all the, so you did this at the end, you just didn't do it for the most current thing. Additional, I would maybe put instead of additional, I'd use prior. So when you say the word additional, that tells me, are you doing that like as a side job while you're working with other companies, or by just saying prior relevant experience? And probably even Goodyear Tire at this point would be a prior one, just depending. Recognitions, I don't think necessarily, they definitely go in a LinkedIn profile. I don't think they're going to help you on a resume. First of all, anytime if I see your resume and I like you, I'm going to go look at your LinkedIn profile and I'm going to make sure that the LinkedIn profile has the same information as your resume. Okay. So
Okay.
putting your recognitions in, I would add those, like if you did this, when you were working at Tyson Foods, I would list it as a bullet point under Tyson Foods on your LinkedIn profile. I don't think you necessarily need to, you could just say, recognized as a finalist and just make that as a bullet point underneath in your LinkedIn profile. I don't think you need it on a resume. Education, perfect. Professional development. This is great. So these are additional certificates that you've done. Great. People really don't care about professional organizations. I mean, that's not a biggie on a resume. That could be something you'd add on your LinkedIn profile, because once again, I am going to look at your LinkedIn profile. What I don't see on here is software skills. Okay. So you probably have worked with several different programs. To do that, I would use this space and use it as software skills. I think because once again, will give you better keyword match, better different ways to do things. So overall, I think I love you've got great detail. You tell me what these companies did. I mean, this is great. Global Manufacturing Tires. I love this. Just like I said, the first couple jobs here, these couple jobs here, you don't give me any details of what it is you've done. catch me later, you don't catch me at the beginning. So those are
Yeah.
those are the few things. Overall, great job. How do you find out about it? Just since you're not in the DFW area.
How did I find out about you guys?
Yes.
Through an organization in northeastern Ohio that is supporting people looking for jobs called St. Francis Xavier. And I just started with it, so I don't know a lot of details.
I know who they are. I know. Yeah. Okay. I'm great. I just always curious when I find people outside the DFW area how they found out about it. So, thank you very much. I mean, a little bit of tweaking and you're going to be on your way.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. All right. We're just about at time here. What I did not do, and let me close out of here. Save. What I did not do, am I sharing? Yep, I'm sharing. If you'd like to get a sample resume, a sample one-page bio, sample cover letters, just send me an email to resume@careerdfw.org, resume@careerdfw.org. Tell me that you're looking for, these documents. I won't be able to get to it next Tuesday when I get back in town in the Dallas area. I didn't bring all those documents with me on my laptop. So if you will, just send an email there. I'll get them to you next week. I know that I think Jesus, you wanted me to look at your resume. If you want to send that to me, I'll be glad to take a look and get back to you next week with my thoughts on what you've done there. So if you want to do that, just send an email to resume@careerdfw.org. Career DFW, Career USA, we're putting on training 4 days a week. Please join us tomorrow morning at the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group, 9:30 Central Time. PJ Dunn will be with us to talk about stress less, live more while on the job search. So it's, I'm sure, looking for jobs hard. It's very, very stressful. It's a very, very difficult thing to do. So how not to get stressed out while you're doing that. Join us tomorrow morning at 9:30 Central. Next Tuesday, our LinkedIn presentation will be by Terry Sullivan. He's going to talk about how to create a LinkedIn brand that tells you key contact who you are, what you do, and how you can help. This will be online only. It will be on Zoom only. We'll back up. Tomorrow morning meeting for those in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. It will be in person, so if you'd like to come join us, Walt Glass will be sort of hosting the in-person session. I will be here in San Francisco, but I will be running the meeting here from San Francisco. But Walt will be there, and that email is going out just very shortly with all those details. Next Tuesday, online only. It will not be recorded, so if you want to see his presentation, you will need to watch it live next Tuesday. Next Wednesday, the practice interview team will be online. So if you'd like to watch a real practice interview, you can join us. If you'd like to be interviewed next Wednesday at 1 o'clock, just reach out to dallaspicrew.com for all the details. It will be on Zoom only. There will be no recording available to see after the event. Then next Thursday, being the 4th Thursday of the month, we have a different speaker who will talk all about networking, getting out and talking to other people. So this session has been recorded. It will be on the Career DFW Facebook page, and in a couple hours, it'll be up on the Career USA YouTube channel. Please check each page and subscribe to both. We'd really appreciate it. On the Career USA YouTube channel, we have over 520 videos. So the best way to do that is every video that I upload goes into a different playlist. So click where you see that green arrow, it says playlist. And then down at the bottom, pick effective resumes for whichever topic you'd like to see. Click on view full playlist, and then up will come a list of all the different dates in chronological order of what we've done. So you're welcome to go back and watch any of those at your choice. If you're not receiving emails about our workshops and you'd like to join the Career USA mailing list, you can scan this QR code on the right-hand corner. That QR code will automatically generate an email, and just hit the send button. You don't have to put any information in, just click the QR code, hit send, and it will get you on the mailing list. Or if you'd like to send an email and do it manually, send an email to Career USA +subscribe You'll never be spammed, but what you will get is the topic of the day, the title of the day, and most importantly, the Zoom link of the day. Please remember, Career DFW, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We've got no full or part-time employees. All of our speakers are volunteers. I'm a volunteer. Everything I've ever done has strictly been to help you land your next great opportunity. So thank you for joining us, everybody. Hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. If not, come join us one day next week. Everybody have a great Thursday afternoon.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.